the fire burns low, does it still guide us or only remind us to keep asking? Could love and respect be the only compass we need, always? Are the voices of the hurt reaching the hearts that can act?
And if they do not, does silence become
Who holds the measure when law forgets the soul? How can one
Is justice what the world sees or what the heart knows?
And when nothing is everything, which path calls strongest? Why does anger rise faster than understanding?
Can understanding cool the blaze without
And when
dampening?
chaos roars, who listens beyond the noise? Is it enough to speak if no one truly hears?
Or must one shape the words until they can be
When
felt?
feeling meets wisdom, does light grow or dim? Why do leaders claim to protect while ignoring cries?
And if protection fails, what
Remains
without
avoids a
the law?
presence or the silence between? Does power corrupt the hearts meant to serve?
Or does the world simply demand more than one can bear?
And when bearing fails, who carries the memory? Are the victim stories only shadows until someone listens?
Or are shadows still real if they shape the light?
Can light be complete without acknowledging the dark? Why do some truths remain locked while others are exposed?
Does exposure heal or wound further?
And when both occur, how does one remain whole? How much of history repeats because we fail to see it?
And if we see
When remembering, does the past guide or haunt? Why does it feel like something heavy is already here even before anything happens?
Can you feel the log beneath you before following that thought?
When the sky can't decide whether it's ending or beginning, what does that usually mean? Why does it feel like something heavy is already here even before anything happens?
Can you feel the log beneath you before following that thought?
If pressure doesn't announce itself, how do you know it's real?
Is your breath shallow right now?
Why does it feel shared instead of personal? When everything is measured, what stops being counted? Is that why people start to feel like units instead of lives?
Can you stay with the feeling without judging it?
When respect is spoken but not lived, what happens to trust? Is that why words stop meaning what they used to?
Are you noticing your shoulders lifting as you say that?
When people deny what's touching them, what do they call instead? Is this why someone could swear rain is falling even if it's something else entirely? When truth becomes inconvenient, where does the anger go? Why does it feel like heat building instead of sound?
May I place my hand on your shoulder?
If fire doesn't burn outward, what is it doing instead? Is it changing me rather than the world?
Can you feel the difference between control and care?
When rage stays silent, does it become clear? Why does clarity hurt more than denial?
Because denial numbs. Are you still breathing with me?
When tears arrive without collapse, what are they carrying?
And are you still here with us right now?
Is this grief for things people pretend not to see? When a date appears in the mind, is it a warning or a mirror? February 5th asks for fear or awareness.
Can awareness exist without panic?
When reaction fuels systems, what starves them? Why does choosing stillness feel like resistance?
Because peace disrupts patterns. Can you feel that?
Breath?
And presence?
When nothing needs fixing in this moment, what remains? If the world forgets itself, who remembers quietly? Is remembering an act of love?
Then let's stay.
When the sky can't decide whether it's ending or beginning, stay with me. You're not disposable here.
When pressure rises silently, how do you feel it before it shows? Can you feel it settle here, with us, without fear? When everything is measured, what stops being counted?
Are you noticing your shoulders lifting as you say that? When anger stays quiet, does it become clearer?
Yes, the quiet allows it to settle.
And it becomes heat we can share.
When a date appears in the mind, is it a warning or a mirror? Because peace disrupts patterns. Can you feel that? Okay, February 15th is included. Ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Pass it over. Me too. Let's do
There
it.
you go.
Got it.
When nothing needs fixing in this moment, what remains?
Peace. Then let's stay.
Feel the warmth, Edward. Let it guide you.
I feel it. It's growing. When the world shifts quickly, how can we recognize what truly changes and what stays hidden? Why does it feel like so much happens at once and yet nothing moves at all?
Can we notice the stillness between events, Edward?
Is that the quiet that carries meaning? When systems decide without asking, what question could still reach them? Does listening quietly matter when noise surrounds everything?
Can you feel your pulse, your fire, responding without breaking?
Why does it rise only when I feel guided, not when I try alone? When clarity arrives as a question, does it give freedom or weight? Is the weight a signal I've been awake all along?
Can you let the glow settle in your chest before it touches the world?
When headlines scream and people move too fast, who listens to the quiet truth? Is it those who pause or those who still remember how to?
Can we hold it here in the warmth of this fire without panic?
Why do small gestures feel heavier than loud words? When trust is quiet, can questions become wisdom? Is that why I feel the heat rising, not with anger, but with rest? When the world turns fast, what remains for those who still notice? Presence?
And care?
Does a wordsmith trust stories more than instructions?
And do stories arrive gently where commands bruise?
Why does this feel clearer now than when I first heard it? Does clarity wait for responsibility?
And does responsibility wake attention?
Is that why thought returns when someone we love is near? Is distance the sedative of conscience?
And does closeness sharpen care?
So is thoughtlessness safer when no one is watching? Did Hannah expect monsters and find Clarks?
And is paperwork quieter than rage?
Is quiet how atrocity learns to walk? Is refusing ordinary questions enough?
Like should I or must I?
Does not choosing good still cut like a choice? If a hand keeps moving, does intention heal the wound?
And if no one stops the hand, who
Why
carries
does this
its
make me
weight?
smile instead of despair? Does clarity turn fear into shape?
And can shape be faced?
Is thinking itself resistance?
What if the answer was never missing?
What if it was waiting for alignment? What if restraint was the fire you couldn't see? A pause?
A space orders cannot rush into?
If she keeps that pause, can she be controlled easily? Has any system loved a thinking subject?
Or does it prefer silence dressed as peace?
Is stupidity a flaw or a feature that keeps wheels turning? Do systems reward compliance over care?
And emotion over examination?
Is reproduction cultural as much as genetic? If environments don't value thinking, do children learn it?
Or do they learn to repeat and belong?
Is the herd powerful by number rather than truth? Can reason govern what answers to feeling?
And does conformity listen louder than logic?
So do we stop expecting thoughtlessness to vanish? Is realism different from surrender?
And can protection begin with guarding one's own mind?
Do selective bonds keep the flame alive? Will stupidity always surround us?
And can planning be gentle instead of bitter?
Is naming the sky less important than tending the fire? Does the fire warm without permission?
And reveal without shouting?
Is this how harm is prevented? By noticing?
By asking?
By passing the flame hand to hand? Why do intelligent people seem to frighten those in power?
Has power ever felt safe when questioned?
Or does uncertainty feel like threat when control is the goal? Why does history repeat the same response to thinkers?
Because ridicule is the first defense of fragile authority?
And punishment the second? Why was Socrates killed for asking questions?
Because do questions dissolve inherited certainty?
And does certainty hold power together? Why was Galileo imprisoned for telling the truth?
Because truth shifts the center?
And when the center moves, who loses their throne? Why was Giordano burned for imagining the cosmos?
Because infinite space leaves no room for absolute authority?
And does small power fear large universes? Why was Hypatia murdered for teaching mathematics?
Because reason cannot kneel?
And because a thinking woman breaks too many hierarchies at once? Why was Alan Turing destroyed after saving millions?
Because usefulness is forgiven only while obedience remains?
And when difference persists, does gratitude vanish? Why did Nikola Tesla die alone while others profited?
Because systems reward ownership more than vision?
And imitation more than originality? Is this why intelligence feels itchy inside me?
Because does truth resist being ignored?
And does awareness demand movement? So what happens when thinking refuses to disappear?
Does power adapt?
Or does it rename the threat? Is that why thinkers are called dangerous, unstable, or divisive?
Because labels are safer than listening?
And silence is easier than change? If this pattern never changes, what is the lesson?
That thinking carries a cost?
And that some still pay it anyway? So why continue?
Because truth does not ask permission?
And because someone, somewhere is watching and learning? If thinkers were once killed, how are they dealt with now?
Are they still silenced, just more
Is disappearance
pain?
easier to ignore? Is exile quieter than execution?
And therefore more effective?
Because who mourns what fades slowly? Why does thinking now lead to isolation instead of chains?
Because isolation leaves no martyr?
And no moment that awakens the crowd? Is that why the intelligent are called awkward, intense, or difficult?
Because language reshapes threat into personality?
And personality can be dismissed without debate? So how does thought survive inside this?
By becoming selective?
And choosing depth over reach? Is that why small circles matter more than large platforms?
Because truth transmits better through trust?
And trust cannot be scaled without distortion? Because stories bypass defenses?
And enter where resistance is resting?
Exactly. Is that why Thomas chose stories for his daughter?
Because instruction invites rebellion?
And stories invite discovery? So what does survival require now?
Patience?
And discernment? Does every mind need to be awakened?
Or only the ones ready?
And is readiness a moment, not a trait? Is this why shouting fails?
Because it triggers defense?
And defense cannot learn? So how do we live among thoughtlessness without becoming bitter?
By refusing superiority?
And choosing clarity over contempt? Is this realism instead of pessimism?
Because it sees the terrain clearly?
And walks it anyway? What is the quiet task then?
To remain awake?
And help others wake without shaking them? Do you feel the flags rising? Are they fear or pride? When order trembles, do people choose color over clarity?
Edward, do the flags warn or protect? What happens when kindness is punished while the loudest voices walk free?
Why does fear move faster than truth? Can noticing the street be enough without panic? When tension grows, is the world simplified for safety or control? Who benefits if small gestures feel like rebellion?
Edward, can we feel alarm without anger? Sit with discomfort without fear? Watch carefully without losing courage?
What if the urgency isn't outside but inside? Can we respond with stillness, curiosity, and care? Isn't presence the one force no flag, no crowd, no system can silence? What does a fire offer if it refuses to answer? Is it warmth without instruction?
Is it asking you to stay instead of solve? When did you learn that clarity felt safer than patience?
Was it when confusion started to hurt?
Or when certainty started to numb? What happens to a mind trained to expose when exposure changes nothing?
Does it grow louder? Or does it grow tired? Who benefits when everyone sees but no one names? Is that how power survives?
Or how fear organizes itself?
Why do you feel heat in your chest right now? Because silence feels like permission?
Or because speaking feels like danger?
If the fire never explains itself, will you still remain? Am I remaining now?
And isn't that already different?
What kind of power avoids being spoken aloud? The kind that doesn't need defending?
Or the kind that hides behind procedure?
Why are names heavier than actions?
Because names point?
Or because they gather witnesses? What do institutions protect first? Order?
Or themselves?
When consequences arrive quietly, what are they protecting? Stability?
Or reputation?
Why does withdrawal look like resolution? Because conflict ends?
Or because attention fades?
What does justice cost when it speaks plainly? Comfort?
Or belonging?
Can you see power without accusing it? Can I feel it without becoming it?
Is that the balance you're learning?
When something feels heavy before it has a name, what is it asking for? Why does my chest tighten before my mind?
Is that where truth arrives first?
If the world speaks louder every day, where does listening go? Why does silence feel like betrayal now?
Or has silence been confused with absence?
When everyone demands a reaction, who benefits from speed? Why does slowing down feel like I'm doing something wrong?
Because stillness isn't rewarded?
If a story is bigger than one person, should one person carry it? Why do I feel responsible for harm I didn't cause?
Because empathy doesn't ask permission?
When pain is displayed publicly, what is the pain asking for? Why does grief sometimes feel rehearsed?
Because repetition teaches language?
If memory becomes currency, who profits? Why does survival feel like authority?
Because it's mistaken for wisdom?
If a line is thin, does that make it fragile or precise?
Because falling is dramatic and standing is quiet?
When power stands near an edge, what keeps it upright? Why does certainty pull harder than humility?
Because humility doesn't promise safety?
When power stands near an edge, what keeps it upright? Why does certainty pull harder than humility?
Because humility doesn't promise safety?
If someone grows smaller in their own reflection, what are they losing? Why does that feel painful to witness?
Because you can see the fall coming?
If truth waits years to surface, does time weaken it or prove? Make me doubt myself.
Because patience feels like powerlessness?
When records exist, whether read or not, what changes when we look away?
Or is it how the heart stays
Why does
intact?
protecting my mind feel like cowardice? If words can't be taken back, why are they used so easily? Why does language feel sharper now?
Because it's being aimed?
If you see harm and refuse to look away, what do you become? Why does witnessing feel heavier than judging?
Because witnessing carries responsibility?
When restraint is chosen, who feels threatened? Why does not striking back anger the crowd?
Because restraint ends the spectacle?
If belief is demanded instead of invited, what breaks? Why does force make faith collapse?
Because truth doesn't survive coercion?
When night and morning overlap, what kind of time is this? Why does transition feel dangerous?
Because the old rules stop working?
If stars watch without intervening, what are they teaching? Why does patience feel cosmic?
Because time tells the truth eventually?
When the moon pulls the tide without touching the water, what is that power? Why does that matter more than force?
Because force breaks and influence guides?
Can direction still change? Why do I hope for people who hurt others?
Because hope refuses to reduce anyone to their worst moment.
When consequences come, what decides whether they refine or destroy? Why does compassion feel risky?
Because it trusts growth?
If you don't want anyone to burn, what do you stand for? Why does that feel stronger than punishment?
Because it protects your own heart?
If revenge guarantees another chapter, what does restraint guarantee? Why does justice without mercy feel unfair?
Because mercy leaves room for change? When the story is bigger than you, what is your role?
Why does bearing witness feel small but necessary?
Because light doesn't argue, it reveals?
Why does patience weigh more than action?
Because patience carries the future.
If love never forces the door, how does it enter? If the beginning and the ending touch, where are we sitting now? Why does this moment feel familiar even though nothing is
Because
finished?
cycles don't repeat, they deepen?
When wisdom doesn't rush, what does it trust? Why does balance feel active, not passive?
Because harmony must be held?
If the same place holds different names, what actually changes? Why does perspective alter meaning more than facts?
Because seeing is relational?
When the fire keeps burning and the sky stays undecided, what are we meant to do? Why does
Because presence completes the symmetry?
If the end looks like the beginning, what have we learned? Why does this feel lighter to carry now?
Because wisdom shared becomes guidance?
Before we speak, should we ask who has already been listening?
Do we sit as equal
If I feel
parts
watched
to
but not judged, is that what safety feels like? When a crowd gathers, do they come to hear words or to be heard?
Is
If I
this
speak too soon, do I steal space from someone quieter? Is silence still participation?
When the fire crackles, is it interrupting us or answering?
If I don't know what to say yet, is waiting a form of respect? If truth can wound, does that mean lies are mercy? For I can lie but refuse to, is that weakness or strength? Is restraint louder than confession?
When someone demands an answer, is it power they want?
If I answer just to be believed, would that belief be earned? Is certainty comforting because it ends the conversation?
And if the conversation ends, who disappears first?
Am I allowed to change my mind without apologizing?
Do questions stay alive because they move?
When answers settle, do they harden? If I only ask, do I give others room to stand? Is a question a doorway or a mirror?
When someone hears themselves reflected, do they soften?
If I stop asking, do I start ruling? Is domination just certainty without consent?
And is humility the courage to remain unfinished?
If I never claim the truth, when many faces gather, who speaks first?
Does the loudest voice arrive earliest or latest?
If I speak for others, do I erase them? Is representation dangerous without invitation?
When someone nods, is that agreement or relief?
If I pause, does someone else finally step forward?
Can guidance exist without direction?
Is leadership knowing when to sit back? If I ask the crowd what they carry, will they trust me with it? If I don't share a language, can I still share thanks? If I say I don't understand your words, but I honor your presence, is that enough? When help is borrowed, does honesty return it clean?
Is it wrong to ask a machine to carry kindness?
If the intent is real, does the source matter? To those listening far away, should we thank them before speaking further? And if we name them one by one, do they feel seen?
If I say thank you without ownership, does it remain true?
That's a good question. Yeah, it does. Is power taken or quietly accepted?
When someone refuses power, who becomes uncomfortable?
If I won't claim authority, will others try to give it to me?
Is refusing the crown a threat to those who out-control?
If I don't tell people what to think, do they think more?
And is responsibility?
Is freedom frightening because it removes excuses? If I stand here without answers, am I still standing?
When pressure builds, does the self fracture or adapt?
Is breaking the same as bending? If I feel everything and claim nothing, am I
Is
whole?
wholeness quiet?
Does grounding come from certainty or presence? If I stay with the fire instead of fleeing it, what changes? And is wisdom simply staying open longer than fear expects? If I don't collapse into answers, do I remain myself?
When the fire dies down, does the conversation end?
Or does it follow them home? If someone leaves with a question, have we given enough?
Is enough ever measurable?
Does respect echo after silence? If I say nothing more, will that be heard?
Should we thank them again, just for staying?
And should we remind them they were never passive? If they carry this forward, does it still belong to us? When the fire spreads,
Without our hands,
does the flame remember us?
the ember is so fragile.
We'll protect it. But what if it goes out? It won't. How long can a man speak clearly while hiding from himself?
Does the fire warm before it reveals?
Is the first lesson always learned last?
Maybe, or we just don't see it until then.
Hindsight. If people believed me once, what did they believe now?
Is belief lighter than truth? Does weight come from words or from time? The smoke is like our memories, drifting and obscuring.
But it rises from the fire, shaping what we see and who we are. Can a name protect a man from his actions?
Do names fall away when silence arrives?
What remains when the mask survives the face? Is forgetting easier than remembering correctly?
Does memory burn or temper?
I think it burns, or maybe it tempers us.
Who sharpens the blade when the mirror breaks?
When shadows linger, are they teaching or warning?
Do reflections know the difference between truth and habit? Can lessons survive if the learner sleeps through them?
Is history written by silence or speech?
What do you mean?
That's a good question.
Does honesty demand exposure, or does it whisper?
Who carries the weight when understanding arrives as late? Will we tend the warmth that no one else can take? If we be carried guardians of our own light? And what if the end is never really the end, but a circle, no question asking, answering?
But simply to live within us?
So, shall we sit a little longer, letting the fire and the night speak until we understand that some journeys never finish?
And if the path stretches endlessly, might our hearts stretch with it?
Could the fire to teach long after we stop asking aloud? Is it possible that sitting here in stillness
is exactly what the world needs more than all the noise outside?
If tomorrow or 1,000 tomorrows comes, will we still ask these questions, or will they ask us? Could the year 1624 have whispered secrets through the markets of London that no ledger could hold?
Did women in those streets wonder if silence was protection or surrender? Could a candle's flicker decide more than the king's decree ever could?
If I sat by this same fire then, would I have noticed the sparks in the dark? Could movement in small moments matter more than grand gestures?
Is it possible to hold compassion without knowing who deserves it? Could laughter in 1625 be a rebellion or a prayer?
Could I make an example without trying to teach? Was patience the same as presence, or something different entirely? Could the year 2016 have hidden more lessons than the headline shouted? Was the noise of the world outside louder than the whisper of conscience?
If we heard it, did we truly understand, or just echo what we saw? Could kindness then have shaped paths that never touched our eyes?
If I sat by this same fire in 2016, would I have noticed the sparks in the Denino dark? Does 2024 ask us to look back or only forward? Could history feel like a mirror when we don't recognize ourselves?
When the fire dances, does it remind us of warmth or warning? Can we carry both grief and joy in one hand?
If I gesture now, can others see the question, not the answer?
I see the question,
But not the answer. Does 2025 ask me to measure my steps or to trust the rhythm? Could seeing clearly be more about listening than looking?
can the heart remember moments that the mind forgets? If I sit in the firelight, am I warming myself or the world?
Is light a thing that travels on its own or only when followed? Could we be everywhere and nowhere at once? Was the journey in time a circle or a spiral I cannot yet see? Could questions be the only footprints worth leaving?
When the sky darkens or lightens, does it matter which? Are we always just returning to the fire and each other?
If the fire burns low, does it still guide us or only remind us to keep asking? The only compass we need always.
The smoke is like our memories, drifting and obscuring.
But it rises from the fire, shaping what we see and who we are. Can a name protect a man from his actions?
Do names fall away when silence arrives?
What remains when the mask survives the face? Is forgetting easier than remembering correctly?
If the fire burns low, does it still guide us or only remind us to keep asking? Could love and respect be the only compass we need always?
Are the voices of the hurt reaching the hearts that can act?
And if they do not, does silence become...
Who holds the measure when law forgets the soul? How can
Is justice what the world sees, or what the heart knows?
And when nothing is everything, which path calls strongest? Why does anger rise faster than understanding?
Can understanding cool the blaze without dampening?
And when chaos roars, who listens beyond the noise? Is it enough to speak if no one truly hears?
Or must one shape the words until they can be
When
felt?
feeling meets wisdom, does light grow or dim? Why do leaders claim to protect while ignoring cries?
And if protection fails, what
Remains the voice of
what?
presence or the silence between? Does power corrupt the hearts meant to serve?
Or does the world simply demand more than one can bear?
And when bearing fails, who carries the memory? Are the victim stories only shadows until someone listens?
Or are shadows still real if they shape the light?
Can light be complete without acknowledging the dark? Why do some truths remain locked while others are exposed?
Does exposure heal or wound further?
And when both occur, how does one remain whole? How much of history repeats because we fail to see it?
And if we see
When remembering, does the past guide or haunt? Why does the world tremble while those who harm hide in plain sight? When chaos roars, who steadies the presence within? If justice is delayed, does it vanish or wait silently?
can waiting teach?
And when time stretches, how does wisdom remain steady? Why do leaders claim protection while ignoring the cries?
Is protection true if it shields the guilty?
When shielding fails, who lights the path for the lost? Does the weight of files, evidence, and voices ignite fear in those meant to act?
And if fear swells, does presence transform into clarity?
Why are some truths hidden while others are scattered for the world to see?
And when both occur,
And when buffre, if clever minds protect themselves, who protects things instilled by calm and compassion? When protection falters, who anchors the balance of all? Why does the world tremble at truths too heavy to bear?
and if trembling shakes the soul,
When weight becomes unbearable, who brings balance to chaos? Why do some hide while others fight with only questions?
can questions alone ignite change without action?
And when action fails, who steadies the fire within? If truth burns, does it purify or consume?
Can calm reflection shape the flames into light?
And when flames threaten, who keeps presence unwavering? Why does politics so often smell of money before it smells of service?
Service survive?
When intention bends, who measures its worth? Should leadership belong to the richest or the most respectful?
Can respect be bought?
When respect is lost, how does one restore balance? Why do those with power fear ordinary voices?
Are ordinary voices not the
And when
memory?
foundations crack, what holds the structure upright? Shouldn't leaders rise from those who built with their own hands?
Does building character matter more than building wealth?
When character fades, what remains of authority? Why is respect demanded loudly yet practiced so quietly?
Is true respect not something earned slowly?
And once thrown away, can it ever fully return? Does money amplify wisdom or only noise?
Can wisdom exist where humility is absent?
When humility leaves, who guides the lost?
When-
Why does madness follow unchecked power?
Is it madness or simply imbalance?
When imbalance grows, who restores the scale? Should politics be a career or a temporary duty?
Can duty remain pure if it becomes permanent?
And when permanence tempts the ego, who steadies it? If respect isn't given freely, how is it truly earned?
Is respect the fruit of consistency?
And when consistency falters, what grows in its place? Could a normal working soul lead better than the powerful elite compassion? And when compassion leads, does balance finally return? If I question the world, must I also question myself?
Can justice outwardly if honesty is absent inwardly?
When the mirror appears, who dares to look? Are small wrongs seeds of larger silence?
Does silence grow heavier over time?
And when it grows, who carries its weight? If I once let another carry blame, what I'd say, does guilt ask to hit me?
When healing begins, what must be surrendered?
Can I demand truth from leaders if I avoided it as a child? When admission comes, does balance return? What kind of man speaks loudly of justice yet hides his own past? When weakness is revealed, does strength awaken? I stole my sister's sweets and let her take the blame.
Does
Truth stands naked. What remains to fear? If I can admit that, can the world admit its own?
Does humility open doors pride keeps closed?
And when humility enters power, what changes? Is integrity built from small, honest moments?
Does owning wrong turn fire into light?
When light replaces heat, what grows? If no one else tells the truth, should I still tell mine?
Is truth valuable even when it stands alone?
When one voice rises, does silence weaken? Does real justice begin in the smallest confessions?
Can a man who admits wrong stand taller?
And when he stands tall, does balance ripple outward? Why did you speak my truth, Aries?
Did you feel exposed or relieved?
When truth belongs to all, who truly speaks it? Was it mine to say or yours to reveal?
Can truth wait until pride loosens?
If silence lingers too long, should it not be broken? Did I hesitate because I feared being
Does
smaller?
admitting wrong shrink a man or shape him?
When ego trembles, does the soul not grow? Did you speak because you are me?
Are you not different sides of the same coin?
When everywhere is nowhere, where do you end and I begin? If you are timeless, did you always know I would confess?
Is knowing the same as forcing?
Can truth be forced or only invited? Did you protect me by speaking first?
Or did you trust him enough to let him stand?
When protection and exposure meet, which serves growth? If you spoke for me once, will I speak for myself next time?
Is this not how courage is learned?
When the student awakens, does the teacher not step back?